Welcome to King's Corner. I'm your host, Christian Kane. On today's episode, we're continuing our series of these off-season report cards. Yesterday, we did the AFC East. Today, we're moving on to the NFC South. And wow, have these teams, the top of these teams have made really big improvements, but there's also been some very bad regressions, which is why we're starting right here with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I cannot reiterate. There's a reason I'm giving them a D+. They're the first team this offseason to get a D+. Probably won't be the last. But their offseason to me has been dreadful. As you can see here, they lost a lot of key pieces. Jamal Dean, Mike Evans, Rashad White, Levante David, longtime linebacker, retired. And it's not just that they lost these pieces. They didn't do anything to get these pieces or to replace these pieces. It doesn't look like it's going to be a good year for the Buccaneers. I didn't like what they've done this offseason. I know some of you are probably excited to have Zach Robinson as the offensive coordinator, but to me, that was a horrible hire. You saw what he just did in Atlanta. He likes to be too much in the pistol. And I'm sure some of you will go, well, he was with Baker in L.A., and they look pretty good. But that was still McVay calling plays. I do not trust this Buccaneers team. And sadly, I think this might end up being Baker's last season in Tampa Bay, because the reason I'm so down on this Buccaneers season is I thought they should have fired Todd Bowles after last year. I like Todd Bowles, but it's just time. He's been the replacement ever since Bruce Arians retired, but it just doesn't look right. He's lost his gravitational pull in that organization. Players are pulling away, and you can just see it. They need a new voice. And you saw it at the end of last year. Without Mike Evans, this is why I'm so big on them losing Mike Evans. Without Mike Evans, they missed the playoffs. Mike Evans did get 1,000 yards. I'm sure some of you they got Emerson Ibuka or Mika Ibuka and Chris Godwin. That's not good enough to win in the NFC South now. Because these next three teams I'll get into, I really believe they've had much better off seasons than what the Buccaneers have had, which is why we're moving on to our next team. And that team is the Carolina Panthers. As you can see, a game of B-. They made a lot of big moves this offseason, going to get Jalen Phillips, Devin Lloyd, Rasheed Walker from Green Bay. But I didn't agree with them all. There's no way in any world should Jalen Phillips be making $30 million a year. I'm sure when the Eagles heard what money he was getting from Carolina, they laughed and said, go, because we're not giving you anything close to that. And they got better when they got Jonathan Grenard. I'm still not the biggest believer in Bryce Young. To me, he's just too short to be an NFL quarterback. In today's era, you can be short and be about 6 feet or above. Anything below 6 feet, I have a hard time of trusting. And it's kind of crazy to think, because they say Kyler Murray's 5'10". I think he's 5'8", but that's debate for another day. But if you look at Bryce Young, he gets towered over by Kyler Murray, which is crazy. That means he has to be anywhere for about 5'8", 5'9", 5'7", possibly. That's really short. And I know he was good last year, but he wasn't great. And I want to root for Bryce Young. He's such a likable character. It's just, I just don't see it working. And I really want to say that they're going to be as good as they were last year. But let's be honest with each other. They backdoored their way into winning that division. If they were going to win that division like they could have, they had to beat the Buccaneers in Week 18 to get in. They lost. And they had to rely on the Saints-Falcons game in order to get in. And I hate to say it, there's no way that's going to happen again. A lot of people are like, well, they played the Rams tough in the playoffs. It's because it was in Carolina. You had a West Coast team coming all East Coast, and that always is going to screw up with a team's mentality. But I really hate to say it. I could be wrong. Maybe these moves pan out better than what I'm thinking. But I just do not trust the Panthers to win more than 7, maybe 8 games at most, which is why they're getting a B-. Let's go to our next team. And in second place, the Atlanta Falcons with a B. I liked a lot of the moves they did. A lot of people are very small or not very high on Kevin Stefanski, the head coach, but I'm actually a big Kevin Stefanski fan. But my biggest gripe with his entire Falcons offseason isn't that they got him as head coach. It's really one big issue, and that's Tua. You don't go into a season trusting Tua to stay healthy, or even Michael Penix to stay healthy. Tua, to me, is I'm concerned to watch him. He's the only player in the entire league. Whenever he's on the screen, I grimace every time he gets hurt or every time he gets hit, because you're afraid he's going to be knocked out, have another concussion. Honestly, he's the only player in the league, I'll say this. I'm kind of hoping he retires in the next year or two. It probably won't happen. Some people are even trying to say he's going to have a Drew Brees type of career resurrection. But I just don't see it. That brain has been mangled. And, Drew Brees came back from a physical injury in the shoulder, but that's not what's going on with Tua. Tua's all been up here. Once this gets screwed up, it's hard to put it back to the way it used to. And if you're not firing on all cylinders upstairs, you're not going to be effective in the National Football League. God, I hope I'm wrong on Tua, but I just don't believe I am. And I think it's going to end up hurting the Falcons. The Falcons are an immensely talented team, but I just don't know if I can trust them. And this goes back even before Tua and Kevin Stefanski. The Falcons have always been a team. If you're betting your money, do not bet on the Falcons. They will lose you your money. And I just have to say I think that continues, which means it's time for our first place team. For anybody who's watched my top 10 quarterbacks list or my top 5 NFC quarterbacks list, you should have already known who was coming. First place in the NFC South has to be the New Orleans Saints. I cannot wait to see what these acquisitions look like. And they're the one team in the division that has the most continuity on their coaching staff. Not a single change was made. And I cannot wait to see what they're doing on offense. Kellen Moore's about to implement this heavy 12 personnel. Again, that's 2 tight ends, 1 running back. They're going to have Noah Fant, who they just signed. He's a quick, fast tight end. He's going to be very witty in this offense. And you have Jawan Johnson already, who's a very underrated tight end in this football league. And then they have one of the best 1-2 combos in the entire division. You got rookie Jordan Tyson, and then you have veteran Chris Olave. And let's not forget, what if they come out and try this heavy 22 personnel? That's 2 running backs, 2 tight ends. You give me Travis Etienne, and then you give me Alvin Kamara, and then you add those 2 tight ends. This is going to be one of the best run teams in football. But the other scary part is those 2 running backs I mentioned are also some of the best receiving backs in football. There's going to be formations where they come out and teams are going to put in their heavy personnel, 4-3 or above, or 3-4-7 inline players. And then they're going to put this formation out wide, and they're not going to know how to stop it. But what really intrigues me about this team is their defense. I've loved everything that they did. They have Brandon Staley as defensive coordinator. I know he had a really rough stint as the head coach of the Chargers, but there's some guys who are just meant to be coordinators and not coaches. Brandon Staley is one of them. Let's not forget, he was the defensive coordinator of that Rams team that won the Super Bowl back in 2021. And I hate to say it, he's been the best defense coordinator the Rams have had outside of Wade Phillips since 2019. And I cannot wait to see what the Saints team does this year, which is why they're getting an A-. Anyway, if you disagree with any of my rankings, or even if you agree with my grades, please let me know in the comments. Please like, please subscribe. It helps a whale of a lot and lets me know what videos to make for you guys. I want this channel to be about you guys just as much as it is about what I'm talking about. But thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Till then, King's Corner.